Hello everyone, welcome back to Leeton. So apologies for looking a little bit of a state today and slightly red hair, but I've been grinding out a doorway in the house that we're renovating between the main bedroom and what will be an ensuite. So brick dust, I'm afraid. But that said, I've managed to escape and get a few hours in the garden. So yesterday, with the weather being so wet, went out and did a little bit of shopping, and of course that involved getting some stuff for the garden. And I thought I'd just show you a few things I'd picked up yesterday for quite good prices, I thought, having done a little bit of research online. And the first thing is I bought some herbs from B&Q. Was it B&Q? No, Homebase and Aldi. So the first one is some lavender. That was £1.49 reduced from £4.45. And it's not in too bad a nick, so I'll get that potted on today. Then some coriander. I think this was about 50p. It's got a bit straggly and everything else. It needs trimming back, potting on, trimming back, and that'll be a nice herb to have somewhere. Some basil, again, it's about 40p, and it smells amazing. But again, these supermarket plants are never looked after. It's wilted. It just needs potting on, I'm sure. In fact, let's have a quick look. Yeah, look, completely root bound, pot bound, so that needs sorting out. And some parsley. So we've got some curly leaf parsley here. I'm growing some flat leaf parsley from seed, but again, it's got all straggly. It will be pot bound. Yeah. But you can pick these plants up really cheap, but you've got to expect they're going to need a little bit of care and TLC. So part of the video today, we're going to get those potted on and sorted out. I also picked myself up these buckets, trugs some people call them, and I've picked these up £4.45 each from Homebase. Now that's about the cheapest I've seen them, even when I look on Amazon and things like that. And the reason I want these is for potatoes. Not right now, but in a couple of months I'll be planting some Christmas potatoes, and then next year for my earlies and my main crop and everything else. But what I am going to do today is sow some carrots in one of these. And obviously I will need to drill some holes in the base for drainage, but then I'm going to get some carrots in. And the other thing that I picked up yesterday was, because I need some canes for my beans, etc., some 10-foot canes, £5.95 for a pack of 10 at Homebase, and some 6-foot canes. They were £3.50 in Poundland. So again, not bad prices. They're not the thickest of canes, I'll accept that, but as long as I'm careful with them, they'll do fine. So on the agenda today, we've got potting on these herbs and sorting them out, drill some holes in one of these and get some carrots in, and a few other little garden duties, and I'll also show you the new potatoes that we are now eating. We've had them for the last 2 nights and they're very nice. Not a massive yield per plant this year because, as I've mentioned in other videos, the soil isn't the best quality at the moment. But next year, when I've got a bit more space organised and I've got the potatoes growing in here, we're going to have loads of spuds. So stay tuned and see how we get on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up a little bit of a potting mix for the coriander, the basil and the lavender, because all of those plants like really well drained soil, not massive, they don't want massive amounts of nutrition either. So what I'm going to do, I've got some general multi-purpose compost and I've got some sharp sand. The sharp sand, very gritty, and what you don't want to use is builder's sand. Builder's sand's much finer, generally orange in colour as well, where sharp sand is a bit like the sand you'd get on the beach. And all I'm going to do is mix roughly 50-50 compost, 50-50 sand, and I'm going to do that in an empty trug, because it's a lot easier to mix a small amount at a time rather than trying to mix a whole one of these. It's quite difficult. So I'm going to get a good clump of that. I'm just going to mix it all up. And there we've got a nice mix. And what I'm going to do, put these in some bigger pots, transplant the herbs, and maybe trim some of them back a bit. The coriander looks a little bit leggy. Pot, and just look at the amount of roots. It was never going to do very well like that, but that's supermarkets for you. Put that in there. And next year, once I've got my garden more organised, I've actually saved quite a bit of the sanitary ware that we've ripped out of the house. Old toilets, cisterns, basins, etc. And I thought I'd make a little bit of a feature out of them all as my herb garden. So that's that one. I'll do the same for the basil. For this year they're going to have to just live in these pots. Of course, what the sharp sand will do is allow really good drainage, which both of these plants like. There we go. Basil and coriander. Now the parsley is different. Parsley prefers really rich soil, well draining but rich. So that one I'm just going to plant in pure compost. Don't need to take loads of keg and just chuck these in, give them a good water. they'll be fine. Give them a good firm down. There we go. And so now I've just got the lavender, and the lavender I think I will put in a sand and compost mix. So I'll tip the rest of that out. Just mix up a little bit more. Now I use this mix for my carrots as well. I've done it for quite a few years. Mixed compost and sharp sand, and I've always had quite good results. So I'm going to do that again today. I have got carrots growing in the ground. I've got actually 3 sowings of carrots in the ground now, but I'm going to do some more in pots, because as the year progresses and things come out of these beds, not much will be going back in them, because I've got to get a digger down here to rearrange the whole garden, etc. So I've got to be careful what I'm putting out there. Give everything a really good firm down as you're doing it. And there we go. Cheap supermarket herbs. Parsley, coriander, lavender and basil. And in total I think they probably cost me about £4. Not even that, probably £3. And give them some water, a bit of care, put them in the right places as well. It's things like basil, for example, doesn't like mega sun, so like midday sun, so maybe a semi-shaded spot, and they'll be fine. We'll have lots of nice herbs for the kitchen to go with all the other vegetables that we've got. So I've got one of my pots. These are 40 litre pots, and what I'm going to do is drill quite a few holes in the base, because when I grow crops in here, especially potatoes, carrots, things like that, they're going to need really good drainage. So I've got probably a 9mm or a 10mm wood drill bit, and I'm just going to put a ring around here, like that, and then 4 in the centre. That'll do. Lots of holes, give it plenty of good drainage. There we go. So in here I'm going to get some carrots growing, and as I said, I'm going to mix up 50-50 ish. I don't measure it exactly, it's just a rough by hand, compost and sharp. So mix it up a little bit at a time. Just makes life a lot easier. That looks a little bit sandy, so I'm going to add some more compost. There we go. So that's my trug filled up. Just going to firm it down a little bit. The carrots obviously don't like mega hard ground because they can't get the taproot through, but equally you don't want the seedlings flopping around in the soil. So try and get the top level. Take out any big bits of wood or anything like that. That'll do. Now, I'm going to individually sow these carrot seeds in here. When I sow a row in the ground, I do the same as what most people do, and I run the seeds through my fingers into the ground, and then I thin them out. But when I plant in a pot or a raised bed, I prefer to sow them individually, and it takes a lot longer, but the results are far better, and you don't have the thinning out and the problems with attracting carrot fly, etc, etc. So that's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is make a small indentation about every 2 inches all the way around the pot, about 2 inches in from the side as well. And I'm pushing my finger down probably about 10 millimeters, half an inch, something like that. All the way around. And then I'm going to do another ring on the inside of that one. So 2 inches from the outer holes. Like so, and then make up the space in the middle. I've got another 3 in there, so I don't know how many carrots I've got in there now. 50 maybe, 40, 50, something like that. So what I'm going to do is sow some Autumn King. Now, carrot seeds are really small, and it is a bit of a pain having to do it like this, but if you get it right, there's one. It can be done. Some people use a really fine stick and a drop of water to get the carrots to the seeds to stick to the stick. I just prefer to do this, and if I do get the odd hole with more than one in, then I've still got the option of thinning them out. we go. And all I'm going to do is just brush the soil, the compost mix, fill the holes back in. And there we go. I just need to put this pot into position now, and that is something to bear in mind when you're using these pots. When they're full, they're quite heavy, so you may want to put it into its growing position before you fill them with compost or soil or whatever it is that you're using. And obviously when you water them, they get heavier still. But I don't think this will be too bad for me. No, I'll be able to move that okay. So, okay, so for a couple of nights now we've been eating these new potatoes. They're Charlotte Earlies, and they're very, very nice. Not so much yield as I would like, purely because the soil's so hard and virgin soil really, but they are very, very tasty. So I'm going to dig some up now for our evening meal tonight. See, the soil's so clayey, so lumpy. And that's actually, it's quite a poor, even for this soil, quite a poor crop for one plant. We'll go with this one. That'll do us for tonight. Right, so when it comes to putting things in my compost, we put kitchen scraps. This is a tub that lives in the kitchen, and in there we've got eggshells, salad remains, onions, we've got a toilet roll, we've got some citrus stuff in there. I don't worry about it. Some people say you shouldn't put it in your compost, I do. All sorts in there. Kitchen roll, let's just add water or whatever on it. That all goes in. And we also collect every week, roughly, I'd say between 8 and 10 kilograms of coffee grounds. And I get them from a garage. Every morning I go there before work and get a coffee. And I asked them one day if I'd buy a couple of bags, would you mind putting the grounds in there? And they were like, yeah. So I take an empty bag in, pick a full bag up, or whatever's in there. It's probably 1.5 kilos-ish, 2 kilos there. And that's pretty much 5 days a week I get that. And the girlfriend works in a school, and she's in the kitchen, and she also gets coffee grounds from the cafeteria. So between us, probably around 10 kilograms of coffee a week, and it all just goes in just the same. So if you haven't got one of these, I would highly recommend that you do, because it tells you the temperature of your heap, compost heap, and that's really important. And this has just started to cool down, but it was about 35. This heap's heating itself up, and it will probably get to around 60. The other heaps have. These are available on Amazon. I got this for 10 quid. And that's a 500 millimeter, 50 centimeter prong. If you've got big heaps, you need a longer prong. And the beauty of having one of these is it tells you how hot the heap is, so it tells you if you need to turn it. If your heap's been hot and it's cooled down and it's below the yellow area on there, then you probably need to turn it, or it might need some water if it's dried out. Very, very useful tool. The next job I really need to get done is get some of these canes that I bought in ready for my tomatoes. I put the tomatoes in the ground a couple of days ago. I've got planted out moneymaker, beefsteak and some cherry tomatoes. I'm going to put these in before the roots develop too much, because I don't want to get shoving these through the roots after. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please subscribe, please like the video, hit the bell icon, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you next time for some more gardening and see how things are progressing and our journey to become self-sufficient in vegetables, eggs, and maybe even some honey. Cheers.